Hey everybody, how are you doing tonight? So I have Reiner72 and White Shadow 001 hanging out with me tonight. This is going to be a little bit different of a Mentor Monday. Normally we like to have questions coming in through the Discord, answering questions, demoing stuff, and running through the how-tos for streaming. But we've got something a little bit different. There's been a lot of questions in various channels on creative tech. What do I need to start streaming? And I reached out to Reiner and reached out to White Shadow, and we had some ideas on things to chat about for that very topic. So what we want to cover tonight um, is just running through general things like lighting, cameras, microphone, even things into overlays and green screens. There's a lot more probably than we can reach out to tonight, but we're going to give it a good start here. So Rainer, White Shadow, thanks guys for jumping in and helping with this, being a part of this. A lot of
No
the
problem, dude.
knowledge I've gotten comes from you guys. So
No problem.
yeah.
Something to do on a Monday night, right?
um, so before we get into a lot of these different aspects, this is going to cover mostly around the minifigure painting or any kind of hobby desk painting. But a lot of these concepts you can transfer over to any kind of streaming. You just might remove a piece of lighting here or a camera there, depending on how it goes. And we'll try and make those points along the way. But with that in mind, we're going to get right into it. And in case anybody hasn't met White Shadow or Rainer here, want to give you guys a quick chance to introduce yourselves. So I'll start with Rainer. Tell everybody about your stream and your background.
Well, I'm Reiner72. Hi, hello, that's me. I paint minis. That's the thing I do. I've been doing that for almost 2 years now. I guess that'll be coming up in November. So I've been doing that for a little while. I got started on the Twitch thing, looking for obviously people to watch and learn from. So yeah, that's it.
All right. Hey guys, I'm White Shadow. I am a True Gaming sponsored streamer. I've been doing this for about 2.5 years now. Started in October of 2015 off console. I am not a minifigure painter or a creative streamer. I am a variety streamer, but I am an expert in technology that translates to Twitch streaming. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm here. And yeah, I've been doing this for a while. So glad to be here, and thanks for having me, GamerDad.
Yeah, no problem. When it comes to my kind of streaming content, one of the things that I like to consider myself as more of a mainstream, whatever the content is, it's more of the mainstream concept. The audio, the video, I'm just using more of like what the average person would get into as they're learning about streaming. I haven't moved up too much into the advanced level yet. So
Okay.
when it comes to audio, when it comes to video and setup and all that, you guys are like my experts. I know I bug both of you all the time when I have some questions, so especially audio, and I'm always texting White Shadow. How do I fix this?
Literally all
So
the time.
all right. Getting right into the questions. As we go through, feel free to throw out any questions. If you're watching this live, ask any questions in the chat. We'll try and get to them along the way. If you're watching after the fact and you have some questions, throw them in the comments, and I will try and get back to you as soon as I can to answer those. I figured the best spot to start would be lighting, because all three of us have some aspect of it, and you can even see with our 3 video sets that there's different kind of lighting qualities along the way,
Yeah.
right? So I'm terrible at anything. When someone mentions diffusers, when someone mentions backdrops, light heat, I've tried everything except for those, right? So I had a light arc, and everybody's seen like the big beam that goes across with the LED strip. It's a pain in the butt on a hobby desk. I don't know, Rainer, have you tried one of those yet?
No, I haven't tried one of those, but I've had, and a lot of people ask me about them airbrushing hoods. Is I have one with an LED arc inside of it, and it's just too much, especially with streaming equipment and everything on my desk. So I'm kind of looking at different options, but that's something you kind of have to keep in mind. It's just the amount of stuff in your way makes it.
Yep. So starting off nice and easy from a basic perspective, when I started streaming creative, I had two desk lamps, just two very basic desk lamps, just spotlighting from both sides of the desk to help get lighting from multiple directions. It looked relatively bad because it was very yellowed. But as I went through and did some more research, I've heard you and Flickster talk about diffusers, and I've heard several other people talk about lighting panels and all that. I know that shadows are a big problem when it comes to streaming minifigures.
He's like umbrella light.
Yeah. So from a basic standpoint, I think you can get away with a little bit of like a little $30-$40 desk light on both sides of the desk, kind of aiming in. I've got one that kind of hangs over. Yep, just like that. I've got two like that. They're long strips. Yeah. That seems like a good starting point, and you can get those from any normal office supply store, Amazon, whatever. But Reiner, if you want to kind of tell me, show everybody or run through with everybody kind of what you just were fiddling with while I was going through my basic setup. You've got the like umbrella light and everything.
Sure. So yeah, I've actually got two umbrella lights, one on each side, and these were really they're just kind of in like a bundle deal. I don't know where my wife found them, but bless her for finding them. So I've got one on each side of me. They've got 5K lights in them, so they're daylight lights. Obviously, with painting minis, that's usually the light color range that we want to aim at. So all of the lights on my desk are 5K, including these desk lamps, which are actually magnifying lamps, but just cheap. Nothing. No, these are no name, no brand kind of things that I just found on Amazon, and yeah, they work well. So there's no reason to spend up on it. You can find pretty decent lights for not a whole lot.
And White Shadow, with you not doing creative streaming, right? You're doing a lot of face lighting.
Yeah.
What's a little bit different with your setup there?
So right now, I don't have the panels and everything yet. I actually have a what do you call this? I don't know what kind of light this would be. It's basically a standing light, and then I have a high intensity LED bulb inside. Normally, what I would be using is either a because what I use for the YouTube videos, I use a umbrella light with a 5K light in it because daylight shows the best. It's the best for creating like diffusing and creating even lighting. If you get the I think it's what 2400 2500K is the warm.
Mm-hmm.
If you get that, it looks too amber and it throws the camera off. So you really want to stay in that daylight range. Something for me that I like to use is the LED panels, and you can diffuse those however you really want to. You can get some with barn doors on the side. You can get some with the gel diffusers. Really depends. They do make a lot of different things that I could see people for creative using.
Mm-hmm.
There is one, it's basically a wand light, and it's a light that's this big, and you can actually angle that any way you want to, and it comes with a little apparatus to kind of hang that above you if you needed to. But there's a lot of different lighting out there. But for what I would use is the LED panels.
And Reiner, you said you're looking into those panels as well, right?
Funny enough, what's right above my camera space here, I built an LED light panel out of strip lighting, but currently it's not working, so I've got to repair that, and I might look at some other options. But yeah, again, same concept, just homemade instead of pre-built.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I would caution, though, for people to avoid is when you do make your own setup or you do go out and buy your setup. Rainer, you made the point earlier of if you're gonna hobby, you've only got so much space. I made a very large light arc. I think it was about, I'm trying to think, 4 foot wide. The base, each side of the base was 4 foot apart, and I probably had a good 3 foot height on that arc. I went to Lowe's or Home Depot and just got a big, wide aluminum strip and then attached the LED to it. But the hard part was if you had to reach for your paints behind you, and I know how your setup is, Rainer, your supplies are kind of in front of you. Reaching through the arc was awkward because you were hitting your head on it, and it's just so awkward. So if you're gonna try, before you go and buy anything and everything, kind of look at your desk, look at your hobby space, make sure you have an idea of what you can physically fit. I could probably hang one light up top in front of my workspace, but I'm very limited with just the 2 lamps that I have now. It's all going to depend. Each desk is going to be built differently. I don't know if you guys have anything more about that.
I think you nailed it. Like I've seen your setup with how you have. Yes, look at how organized he is.
There you go.
I need this organization.
Yeah, you do.
Stop it. You're my friend. Don't do this. Don't do this to me, Shadow. But yeah, so if you're looking at this kind of setup that you can see that Reiner's showing off here, one of the things to keep in mind, and if I wave, you might there. Let's see the stream.
It's awesome.
Reiner would not be able to get away with a light arc, because with the way it'll be running, he can't reach any of those supplies behind him. You know, and with my desk, I'm literally in the back corner of a loft over the garage. And my desk is kind of an L-shaped. I have no floor space for me to mount anything behind the desk or next to the desk on either side, because on one side's another desk and on the other side's the window. So, you know, but it can work. It's just that I have to do things that I can. I like the swing arm kind of setups. So my other camera with a little duck on it has a swing arm. Those are fantastic, right? It saves a lot of space.
Mm-hmm. I love this.
And a good point about the swing arms, if you're looking at doing creative work like miniatures and things like that, you know, we're rotating things around in our hands that are 3-dimensional. A lot of times I'm having trouble just seeing stuff on the desk, so being able to move your light around a little bit and keep it in place around you is pretty nice.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, one of my next things, I think what I'm going to do instead of going with the floor mounting like umbrella panels like you've got now, Reiner, I'm going to look into the rings, the light ring, and have that aimed down. Since, in Shadow, you've seen my desk. If I mount 2 of them on arms next to that monitor up on the wall, I can have those 2 light panels aiming down at my desk, and I'll get fully lit, and my workspace should get fully lit.
Mm-hmm. And that'll also help with camera.
Yeah.
Like, because I think you use what, a C920 for your face?
Nope. 310.
Which one do you use? 310. Okay. So the thing about Logitech cameras, and this is something that I have kind of figured out, and this pertains to lighting, is these cameras can get blown out very easily. So that's another thing you want to kind of be careful of, is getting too much light on you or too much light around the camera, because it can actually make your video feed look worse and overload the USB bus.
Yep.
Then you start having issues, and then Windows freaks out, and it's just a whole nother loads of problems. So be careful about getting too much lighting.
Right.
You want just enough to light yourself and your surrounding area without being overblown. So
yeah, and that's a good kind of transition, because your lighting will play into your cameras, and when you're getting started with camera controls, Reiner, I don't know what you started with. I know what you're using now, and we've had very interesting talks about this, but you know, anybody who wants to do creative, for when they're on sale for like $50-$60, get yourself a C920 or C922 just to get started.
Yep.
Right.
C920s. That was what basically I keep telling people that my wife got me started in on this, but she ordered a bunch of C920s for both myself and her when we started. I'm still using them. I've still got the one that I've replaced with my camera down here, just sitting around because it's still great. It's still useful. Going back to that, I think we had it in our notes to discuss as well tonight too, but just one of the big things I keep pointing out to people is getting third-party software to control a camera as well. That's huge, because if you're running more than one Logitech camera, the default Logitech firmware and software just does not handle it well. It has all sorts of driver conflicts.
That's why I don't have 2 C920s. I would be running a face and a mini camera. I don't run cam control like you were telling me about earlier. I've seen it. I've not really been personally kind of into messing with it too much. I've been lucky that I can get around the basic software. But if you dial up, like Shadow, you were saying, if you dial up your exposure to go adjust things, you'll actually get frame skips. Like they'll look, I'll look like I'm slowing down and kind of just, you know, all over the place. It's insane what it does when it overloads your system like that.
It's actually caused me to have a blue screen on my system. Like midstream, all of a sudden it just blue screen, and it's actually says like Logitech Logisystem.exe or something like that, and it's actually the USB bus overloading, and Windows just freaks out and doesn't know what to do with it. So
My wife and I
yeah.
both have had the same issue. I know exactly what you're talking about, and it requires a
Yep.
PC restart. It's
Mhm.
great.
And it has to do with the Windows Creators
Mhm.
update. That's
Yep.
what started the whole thing.
Yep. Now there is the Logitech gaming software that you can
Yes.
use. It's a little better, but I think Reiner is actually looking for the link, and I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that that goes in the post video. We'll have that in the YouTube description when this goes up, with all of this reference information. I think there actually is. I see some comments about Mac software too. I believe it's Mac compatible as well, or a version of it for Mac.
No, but that being said, there is a Mac version of the software. It's not the same
Sure.
software, but it's a piece of software that functions the same way. I think one of the other streamers I'd worked with had found it. So yeah, I'll find the links for those guys, because just looking for cam control is not going to send you to the right software. I can just tell you that much.
You'll get
So
some
just be
interesting
careful out
search
there.
results.
Do we need the
Yeah.
Logitech gaming software? Because I got the link right here.
Yeah. Go ahead and share that out too, or if you want to add that to the bottom of the document for me to use later.
There, I put it in chat for
Perfect.
everybody.
And Reiner, you've already sent me both the links. I've got those. I'll make sure they go in the YouTube description as well.
Now, Logitech does have a new software coming out that will allow you to use multiple cameras, but it's still in beta, so I don't recommend anybody downloading it right now.
And that's another good point. Beta testing software live on stream.
Don't do it. For the love of God, don't do it.
Don't test. Don't.
Oh, that's right. I didn't actually have a link for you, GamerDad, but if you maybe wanted to throw the file up on your Discord server or something after stream, we can.
Yeah, can do. Yeah.
I did a beta test for the Streamlabs OBS. I was one of 3 people that got to test it before it was ever called Streamlabs OBS. And dude, it was an abysmal nightmare. It was awful because not all of the features from OBS were in there yet. So I was having to like do stuff in a completely customized fashion. Just don't do software betas live on stream. Bad idea.
Yeah, I tried Streamlabs OBS for the first time going live, and I got burned big time. So, but we are going to talk a little bit about overlays and setups in a little bit. As far as the cameras go, right? So, if you're getting started in creative, or even if you're going to do like any kind of gaming, you need one camera. Your viewers need to see what you're working on. If you're on a budget, don't worry about what they see on your face. I've watched several creative streamers who don't have a face cam, and that's fine. You get a better view of what they're doing. You can't always see their reactions. That's a benefit and a downside, because you lose a little bit of engagement with who you're watching, but you still get to see what they're doing. But at the same time, if you're self-conscious about them looking at you, you can hide that camera. So one C920 or 922 is a good start. I want to kind of point out what Reiner's got mounted in front of him though. I want to call this is I would say this is probably a heavily advanced setup, right? This is not for the weary. Don't go and buy this just because we talked about it. Make sure you're ready, and Reiner's going to go ahead and explain a lot more about that, because you gave me a really, really good little pep talk about the use of this DSLR.
I'm going to do it right now.
Okay.
Oh man.
He's on the spot.
Yeah, I do feel a little bit on the spot. I don't even know where to start on that. Yeah, this is kind of the upgrade from the C920, because there's not a whole lot in between webcam and going quality camera. But this was kind of where I could go next level for budget as far as DSLR cameras go. If you're looking at doing like some really professional level photography or videography, for either doing it for Twitch and streaming, or YouTube, streaming or video, both, it's something to really look into. But it's definitely not something you need up front. It's definitely an investment. It's definitely technical. I'm still learning a lot. I'm literally going through manuals and learning photography, and yeah, It's definitely a crash course. But as far as creative goes, it's definitely a boon, since what people are tuning in to watch is generally, what you're working on, and they want to see all the detail. So it's not like a face camera, which a face camera you can run at, a lower resolution. It doesn't necessarily have to be, full 60 frames per second and all of that, because people could see your face, they get the idea, but they really want to see the detail on your models. So, down the line, it's something to think about. Um, I don't know if anybody has like specific questions or anything about it, or my
What
camera setup.
specific
But
what specific camera are you using?
right now, I'm using a Panasonic Lumix G7
Okay,
with a stock standard
good.
lens in it. I think it's a 40mm lens. I'm remembering the
Okay,
specs on it right. Yeah.
I'm a huge Panasonic fan. Something I will point out about using DSLRs, and this is from a filming aspect and using it as a video feed all the time. You're probably going to be streaming for what, 4 or 5 hours, 6, 7 hours sometimes. Make sure you get a camera that is a mirrorless camera or a micro four thirds sensor, because a DSLR normally will overheat over time. Micro four thirds are cinema quality, like what he has. He has a G7. That's a micro four thirds. That is a cinema quality camera made for video. Make sure you, when you're buying that, if you are planning to upgrade.
Yeah, this is definitely a future-proofed upgrade on the specs.
Oh yeah.
Now,
And
what's
Slowfuse is making some comments in chat, which is a really good point too, because I know Slowfuse, I believe he uses a camcorder of some sort for his streaming, but he's also got a very high-end setup as well. It's pretty similar.
I agree and disagree with that, Slowfuse. And okay, so there is a different yeah, okay, so he's got the Canon H. He's probably got a Vixia. The thing about this is a whole conversation I can get into for like an hour about that. So the thing about that most people use is like a Canon Vixia. I know oh gosh, Ninja uses a version of the Canon Vixia. King Ithalian uses one. Those are two larger streamers out there. The thing about using a camcorder is you are capped normally at either 4K or 1080p signal, and there's not a lot of room to play. Like they're really, really sensitive when it comes to capturing that signal, whereas a DSLR isn't. You can do a lot with it. I've seen a lot of issues with the Canon Vixias and getting them to capture right, but if you have the correct form of capture card, you won't always run into that issue. His camera is probably one of the best cameras to buy for this the stuff that he's doing, because it's got such a high quality sensor. It's made for video, and it's gonna pretty much show every single detail out there, and he can adjust the zoom more so than he can that Canon Vixia.
so as far as like what to avoid and what to go into, there's a couple of content pieces to get away from, right? You're talking about mirrorless and everything like that.
Yeah.
When it comes to the interface, though, what are we going through here? Is this just a cap card? Are you using Elgato, or what are you running through?
Yeah, I'm using an Elgato HD60, the internal card.
Okay.
I didn't spring for the 4K upgrade because I'm not pushing streams at 4K. At the camera, I can record at 4K, but I can't capture through the capture card. So
Yeah.
I did trade that off to save a few dollars. But if I did go down the road at some point, I could look into that.
Right, and I've got a Canon Rebel. I think it's what, the T3i or something. I've had one. It's been like something we've used for family photos and stuff. So I'm starting my research, but it's like I don't know if I'm there yet, because I'm gonna have to get the cap card, and I'm gonna have to remount the camera and everything, because I've got the 920 on the swing arm over here. So, but it would be interesting to research to see if that's going to be something that would be suitable. So one of the things I've seen you and other streamers on the more, we'll say the more advanced streamers, I'm gonna turn off my sound alerts. One of the things that I'm getting, I had a sound go off right in my ear. One of the things,
there's some really good I was just saying, there's some really good questions kind of coming up in chat.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that some of them didn't get lost.
Sure, yeah. And we'll bring them up. But one of the things that I'm seeing that you can do, or that I've seen Flick do, and I think I've even seen Slowfuse do it a little bit. All of your adjustments, or most of your adjustments, are right there on the device. Like you can focus in or adjust the focus, adjust the zoom, all right there. It is a nightmare for me to go through in any software I'm using, to just have to go pull up the software, adjust everything with the mouse. Sorry, it's tough. So. But let's make sure we can get through some of the questions. I know Witchy says she's got a TI 80 Plus, a Canon Rebel TI 80 Plus. I'm not sure if that is or is not the right kind of thing. I don't know enough about all the models. I don't know if you guys have any knowledge on some of those. Like, what did you research? What models did you look into, Reiner?
That one I am not familiar with. So yeah. I don't know if White Shadow maybe has some experience or anything. Yeah, I was definitely looking at a few Canon cameras during the.
Canons are always good. You really can't buy a bad Canon when it comes to the mirror. They make a mirrorless, they make a micro four thirds, they might make mirrored DSLRs. Canon makes a quality product. I mean, they've been making cameras for years. I would say I do like the camera that you have better than the 80D, just because of the way it captures video and the sensor that it uses. I just feel like it's better for a video feed, but Canon's still good. I've used an 80D for a Canon 80D for some of the YouTube videos that we filmed. Looks crispy, but there again, be careful and make sure you're supposed to research your camera when you're getting into this stage. With a C920, it's easy, plug and play. But when it comes to getting a camera for a constant video feed on your stream, you don't want overheats. That's like the number one thing, because your camera's not going to work. And then you're going to have to take your stream down. Just make sure you go into forums, make sure you're asking, like, look at what the pros use, look at what, look at what Reiner uses, look at what, there was the other guy in here, what was his name? Slowfuse. Look at what he's using. Yeah. I mean, these guys have generally researched the stuff that they're going to use and knows that it's going to be good. Probably go after that stuff.
Yeah, I spoke with probably 3, maybe 4 other creators who use the same exact camera.
Yeah.
So this is highly recommended. And the other cameras, like I said, I'd looked at a few Canon cameras. My boss is a photographer, so I was asking him some questions, referencing him as well. So it was about probably a 3 or 4 month period before I made a final decision and said, yeah, let's go ahead and pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I saw that there are some audio questions, and we're getting into microphone and audio next. But I want to make sure that we've kind of covered all of our look at White Shadow getting super excited.
That's my favorite, dude. I love audio.
I want to make sure we cover all of the questions, and certainly, if you have specific questions about your hardware, you can reach out on the Discord. Later, I'll leave a link there for that. You can ask the questions through the comments in the YouTube video, everything like that. But certainly, if you've made a purchase already, and just because you're hearing that another model might be better, but yours will still work properly, don't get worked up, don't get worried, because there, with creative, with any kind of streaming, there's not just one piece of hardware. There's tons.
Yeah. And you can also overspend. Be careful of that.
Yes, that's why I was glad to have that conversation, Reiner, you and I had the other day, because the reason I'm so passionate about this specific conversation with what to get is I started, and I was like, oh, I need this, and I started wanting to buy all these things, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm in for this so much, and I don't even know if anyone's going to watch. I haven't gone live yet. Like, you want to be careful. I mean, that's why when it comes to, you need a solid microphone, you need a solid camera, and you need some respectable lighting, and you can get started. Everything else we go into from here is just adding to it, bringing it up to that next level. And when it comes to microphone audio, you could even start basic. Everybody who plays computer games has got a headset with a mic. You can start with most gaming quality mics just to get going, just to kind of get into it. And I know that that's going to make Shadow cringe a little bit to say get a boom mic on your headset.
Not really.
I mean, but I can
Since
tell
we're
you
getting
right
into
now.
the microphone.
Yeah, so you've got like, I don't know, tons of them in your little game space because so what Shadow does is tech reviews, hardware and software reviews for stuff like that. So is this the headset?
Yeah, I started with this bad boy, an Astro A40.
Mhm.
This was my microphone for 6 months on my stream until I upgraded. Then upgraded to a Yeti. So
not the snowball.
Don't buy a snowball. Don't do it. Okay? Don't buy the snowball. Save up and get a decent mic after your headset mic.
Shadow, somebody bought my snowball.
I mean, it's God, don't even get me started with that.
We're not gonna trigger Shadow on the snowball.
The snowball is good only if you're using it for like gaming. It's not a broadcast quality microphone.
Yeah.
But that's also a good point too. If you just happen to be an airbrush artist, picking up every sound in the room is not good.
It will pick up everything, guys.
Right.
It's horrible. Yeah. So I have a really cheap mic. I think I paid maybe $30 for it, but it's a directional mic. It's not the best, but it kind of avoids some of the problems. I'm still looking at other options. It's kind of one of those things I'm looking at upgrading, but it's purpose. It's fit for purpose is the main thing. Is make sure you know what you're buying and what you're looking for before you pull the trigger on it.
So what I started with was what I just showed you. I started with a headset mic, and that's like you just started streaming. You don't need the best. I upgraded to a Yeti, and then I used the Yeti for about 2 years, and then got this thing. This is a dynamic Rode Procaster. This is very directional. It only captures my voice and literally nothing else around it. This mic at retail is like almost $300. You don't need this when you start. People are going to have that upgrade path. I would say the Yeti is probably one of the best starter mics out there. You're going to start looking at like dynamics and stuff like that. Don't even worry about that yet.
Yep, be very careful with that. And that goes back to the point that Reiner was making of kind of where he is budget-wise on the microphone. We're saying Yeti. That doesn't mean that if you have another microphone with similar specifications, it doesn't have the Yeti name on the side of it. Doesn't mean you're wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, there's very good aspects about that are probably in a microphone like what Reiner has. You could tell the sound quality. My snowball, the reason I didn't like my snowball is this is a open room. It's a loft that multiple people can share. My wife would sit on the other side of the desk over there watching TV at night, and I would have to kick her out of the room. She couldn't come in, she couldn't talk, she couldn't do anything because you could hear a pin drop. She could call from the kitchen downstairs in the back side of the house, and the microphone would pick it up before I could hear it. And I've got good hearing.
That's a condenser mic. What they are made for is to absorb literally every bit of sound in that room. That's what a condenser is supposed to do.
Right.
And most people don't understand that. It's not like even that we are uneducated. It's because literally these manufacturers don't put it out there, which I think they should.
Now, it was a good start for me. It worked well in my last house. When I moved into here, it got very bad. And so I know some people in here are saying that they've got a snowball as well. If you are in a location where you don't have to worry about every sound around you, like I have a baby monitor that's normally up here with me every stream. Nobody ever hears it go off anymore. My airbrush compressor is hard to hear. I know Rainer's also got the same kind of setup with sound to where you don't always hear his compressor or anything like that because just it's the back to the fit for purpose. You can get away with some of those cheaper mics, but go ahead, Reiner. I think you were going to jump in.
Oh yeah, I was even going to say too, part of what I do to reduce noise is simple things that aren't technical. Like, for example, you've mentioned the compressor. The compressor is the least amount of my noise. A lot of the noise that I have to deal with is the airflow from my brush. But the reason that the compressor isn't as much of a problem is because I've literally put it underneath my desk around a corner just so the acoustics kind of keep that sound away from me. So if you're able to, just isolate things, maybe a little bit of a foam, just even like a towel sometimes can absorb enough sound to kind of, deaden things around you.
Right. Yeah, and I actually built a noise dampening box to put my compressor on. I went to the craft store and got one of those little pine boxes, filled it with the pillow foam stuff, and then wrapped it with felt. And so all that vibration is kind of it. I was a night and day difference for me. It was pretty impressive. So
I'm kind of curious about a lav mic. You have an opinion on that, White Shadow?
Lav mics are awesome. They have their purpose for tons of different stuff. I've actually looked into getting a lav mic for my YouTube videos simply because I don't always want this thing in front of me. Like say if I have to stand up, if I have to build because I build computers and stuff too. So if I'm going to be building a computer for the YouTube channel, or if I'm going to be using my hands a lot, lav mics are probably some of the best out there, and it's going to be right here on your shirt and not picking up all of that extraneous noise out here. For creative, I can see, like what Slowview said, I can see creative streamers using it a lot more. They make XLR lav mics, and they don't require a ton of power. You can even get advanced and get a dynamic lav mic that's only going to pick up your voice and nothing else. We'll be spending a little bit of money because they are super specialized, but it might be worth it in the long run.
Right. And my audio setup is actually designed by White Shadow. And then, of course, right after I pulled the trigger, he told me about another system that's even better. That was great. So I'm using a Shure microphone, Shure SM57, running through a Behringer mixer. I love it. Once I dialed in the knobs, I never really had to adjust it, except for a minor tweak here and there on my main mix. As a matter of fact, the setup I'm using here, it's almost the exact same mixer that my dad uses for homeowners association, like presentations and movie nights. They've got a big projector box with the microphone running into one, the DVD player running into another audio thing, the whole setup. And I was actually able to fix it because everything was buzzing and not working. I was able to fix it because we fixed my mixer. But this was a pricier upgrade for me. I think what was it, close to $300 for me to get this whole configuration. But this is a long-term spend, long-term savings. I don't see myself upgrading to this until I'm ready to go to my final build. Right, yeah. Future-proof, just like the camera. Mm-hmm. But that's the main point here, though, is the lighting that a lot of us are using is now planned for more long-term. We did all start off with some basic stuff. Same thing with the camera. I'm still on my short-term kind of basic level with the 920, but the great thing about it, it's basic and it's intermediate, and you could take it most of the way. It's just that extra notch with your audio, video, and lighting. What about what not to use? Is there anything else for you to not use when it comes to audio? Like I know depending on the situation, something like a snowball could pick up a lot more sound, so it's probably got less of an application for creative. It doesn't make the creative streamer wrong for using it. But I mean, is there anything else to look out for, to avoid when it comes to microphones?
A deal that's too good to be true. Like there are microphones on Amazon that you can get for $18 that are XLR. And then you see another interface for like $22 and you're like, oh, dude, that'd be awesome. Don't buy that. That's going to pick up so much background noise. It's going to have line level noise, and it's just not going to sound good. If you're really wanting to get good audio, save up. Use the headset mic for a little bit. Just save your money for a decent enough mic. I mean, if you have to buy the blue snowball and that's all you can afford, go for it. And then save up for something better later. Snowball's not bad. It's a great starter microphone, but I tell people not to buy it because there are other options out there. Like right now the blue snowball is going for $44 on Amazon. There's another company called Fifine. I actually did a review of this, and it's called the K670. It's $47 and it sounds better than a Yeti. It's a great little microphone. Look at stuff like that. You don't always have to buy blue just because everybody else is buying it. Do some research and really look and see how good these microphones are.
Right, and that goes for Shore and Road as well. You don't have to get, like, it doesn't have to say BMW or Lexus for you to drive a good car, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I will say, whatever you get, research the configuration, because I had this running for a little while, and it didn't sound like I was still getting a lot of the same problems I was getting with my Snowball. You could spend $300 on an audio setup and still have the same audio quality if you don't do your research and don't rely on your friends to help you dial it in. I worked with White Shadow and another streamer to dial this thing in, and we finally got it just right. I'm using a piece of hardware, a mixer, the Behringer mixer, to do all of my dialing in. I see some questions about tuning the audio and noise cancellation. If you're using a USB powered mixer or any kind of microphone mixer, you can get a lot of it through those dials. In other cases, you can do a little bit of work through the OBS filters, but they're going to get you some part of the way there, but not necessarily all the way there. I don't know if you use anything in specific, Reiner, to dial in your filters. I know what you've got, Shadow. I know you've got a nice mixer set up.
I actually just use an interface for now.
Yeah, and I'm just using some OBS filters at the moment, just because audio is just not something I'm super knowledgeable on yet. So definitely next upgrades.
Now, if you want to get a little bit more advanced, there are certain things that you can buy. I found this company. It's called DBX. I had no clue they existed, but they're owned by Harman, the Harman Sound Group, and that's like AKG, Harman Audio. They're all under the umbrella of Samsung now, which because Samsung owns them all, and JBL, all of those guys. This is a microphone preamp, but it also has a hardware noise gate, like what you would find in OBS. It has a de-esser, which takes that hiss, the noise level of the line down. And it also has, a built-in hardware compressor, which is what GamerDad has built into his mixer that we were just talking about, the Behringer. This thing is $200, but it's your mic preamp. It's and all of those noise gates that you would normally use via OBS built into the hardware. Hardware is always better, but that's a super advanced option. You can get all of this stuff through OBS. It's really easy to dial in. Tons of videos. I actually did a video on one. If you just type in like how to set up OBS noise gate in YouTube, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be like 30 videos on that front page telling you how to do it. It's really not hard. The best way to get rid of that noise, the background noise, is a noise gate, and then the compressor helps keep that noise floor down. So if you get really excited, you don't blast the ears of all of your viewers, like we've all done.
Like when you're screaming something like microwave through, and you don't mute your microphone or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I only say it because I don't understand it still.
Okay. So here's another consideration to take into account when setting up your stream setup. When you're considering power for your studio, make sure you're not on the same circuit breaker as your kitchen. So when you're streaming and the microwave is on, it doesn't kill the breaker.
Oh, okay.
So I was streaming microwave because I heard the microwave start up.
That is, yeah. Another thing to
consider. Speaking of future studio upgrades, it does include electrical. I've got a couple of buddies who can do the work. I just need to get them up here and digging around in my attic space.
Yeah. The other thing to keep in mind is if you're not on like a foundation floor, think about what's below you, or if you're on a first floor, think about what's above you. My loft is over the garage, and I don't have a silent garage door opener. So if I don't catch the mute button quick enough, and my wife comes home from like a meeting or something like that, yeah. So
awesome.
The environment will matter to your microphone. I feel like this microphone has fixed that. The Snowball, just
God, I love dynamics.
It's so great.
I was literally just playing around with sound settings yesterday with somebody who was helping me out with some things. One of the reasons is, I don't know if you can see it back here, there's a small window-mounted air conditioning unit because this room gets too warm, and when you have a PC and equipment and lights and everything, it gets really hot up here. I can't avoid it, but guess what makes a whole lot of noise? That thing.
Yep.
So it definitely helps already, and so hopefully my future streams are already better.
Now, Reiner, what microphone do you use?
It's some generic Boya Couldn't even
it's a
tell ya.
Boya shotgun mic.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah. Those actually aren't bad. Boya is owned by this company called Movo, which is a fork of another company called Ceramonic Design. They actually make some pretty good quality stuff. I've never seen anybody use a shotgun mic on stream though. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I
it's
was just looking
directional.
at some different options, and this came up as kind of something affordable and something to try. So I was like, I'll give it a shot, just because I didn't have a whole lot of other people to really bounce ideas off of at the time. So it seems to work.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's optimal. That's why I'm kind of looking at different options. But the lav mic kind of interests me because isolation. I've had a few other friends recommend the same thing, so I've been kind of looking around. So getting a chance to bounce ideas and these questions off of you is really handy.
I'm gonna make one more recommendation before we move on. If you guys are looking for lav mics, look at Audio Technica, Sennheiser, and Rode. Those are my top 3. And let's do top 4. And Shure, just because Shure has been making microphones longer than everybody, which is why I recommended the SM57 to GamerDad. Because for what you do, you guys are creatives. If you get paint on it, that SM57 isn't going to kill itself.
Right. And also, since I've got that little filter over top of it, I can just get a new one of those.
Let's see a question from Impending Duff.
Yeah, I was going to get into that one too. That seems like an interesting one because it could be beneficial for me because I don't know. I know you're going to deal with this too, Shadow.
Soundproofing.
Yeah.
So and I'm going to be dealing with it just a few months as well.
Yep.
So my big solution is the kids' room is on the other side of the house. So going back to what we were saying, being mindful around you, but things like literally cheap foam. If you have spray foam, I know people use that for insulation to just deaden noise and things like that. It's just kind of weird, but yeah, use corners in your room to block off noise. Things like even kind of what White Shadow has behind him. He has his green screen. Normally, I'd have my green screen here as well. Even simple things like that can actually just help with noise. The air noise that you hear on stream from my airbrush, the compressor technically makes more noise not on stream, but just in general. Keeping that someplace where it doesn't shake is really important. That way it's not rattling floorboards or anything like that. So that's something else to consider, is just making sure everything that's moving around is kind of secure, so things aren't shaking around. Other tips and pieces, kind of like I said, I have my compressor below my desk and kind of around a corner, just to make sure that it's not anywhere near my mic, so there's no kind of direct line of sight between them.
Yeah,
that definitely helps a lot.
And there's things that you can look into to help with dampening the sound. Like I said, I built a block. It doesn't, my airbrush isn't, or my compressor isn't inside it. I just built a stand for the airbrush to sit on. So it's still like it's on a flat surface and everything. It's perfectly fine. It's not like bogging it down or anything like that. So it's on top of a surface. That surface itself is dampened because one of the problems with the airbrush compressor, not only is the motor making noise, it vibrates. That vibration will resonate. So I've killed the vibration that the actual compressor is giving off. The motor itself is still loud. Like I can turn on now and you'd probably hear it.
Right, exactly. I actually have funny enough, I'd have my compressor on a piece of cardboard on carpet, so it doesn't overheat on the carpet directly. And plus that cardboard acts as a drip stop for the release valve on the bottom. So it's not making any noise since it's padded, but it's not also heating something. So that's something else to keep in mind too, especially with like PC equipment, things like that. Ventilation is something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now I've seen some people hang up the actual audio foam, like the recording studio brick foam, in different places. And to me, that's kind of like, if I was going to do that, I would put it just on the wall in front of where I'm facing. So my voice may not bounce off of it and carry, because I can get loud and my voice can carry. And Shadow, you've seen my house. You know where the main bedroom is. She's heard my voice in there with the door closed.
Dude, I live in an apartment and this way is basic going towards the front door.
Yeah.
My voice reverberates, because I have a window in front of me. It reverberates off this window, this wall, the ceiling, and it carries all the way that way. So Trust me, I know that feel.
So before we get into now the more advanced setups and stuff like that, do you guys have any more? Do we have any more audio questions or anything like that? I know that there's some comments about sound deadening insulation. Looks like there's some.
Yeah, see.
Yeah, what Guy Allen's talking about. I'm just trying to read it to make sure I can kind of spit it back out. Unless Reiner, you've got it.
Jake's got a good point too. It's mostly for the reflection. That's like, for example, this big flat wall back here. Normally, this isn't a wall. There's a screen that pulls down. That kind of helps things like that.
Sure.
But yeah, he does make a good point. So just making sure you're kind of as isolated as possible. I've got a door on the room that helps, etc.
Yep. All right. So now that you've got your kind of intros for audio, video, and lighting, some things that you can do to kind of tweak and build up your stream a little bit more. I don't use one yet because I'm looking into them. You can go with something like a green screen. I'll be completely honest. Over there is a pile, and you guys have seen my normal camera angle. Over here's a pile of gaming stuff. It's just everywhere. And so if I were to have some sort of a green screen behind me, I'd be able to hide all of that and kind of just take most of myself out of it. The other thing I can do with the green screen is you just see my chair. Yeah.
Need I say more?
Right.
Living room.
Here we go. See, he's got a.
No, I didn't show them you, babe.
So Rainer's going to show right now. He's got a really good basic setup. He's got a green screen. He's got a curtain rod.
No, I can see you.
And it's really easy from the setup. I don't have the luxury of mounting something like that very easily. So so one of the things that you can do, the green screen will provide for the ability for you to just show more of your creative work surface, right? Because the big rectangle that you see of me, well, you only need to see like my head and the chair. You can get rid of all of this stuff behind me with the green screen and just see what's there. So and now I'm the only one without green. And
I need to iron really bad.
Does that mess with the
yes
promo?
The shadow does, yeah.
Yes.
So I've been kind of lazy. But
Actually, easy way to rectify that is when you get the green screen down, get a spray bottle, and lightly mist it, and it keeps all of those wrinkles out of it. Because ironing these things can ruin them.
We're waving hi to Hypermom real quick.
Oh, hi Hypermom.
If you get any like residue, stuff like from hard water, that'll show up. You'll see spots where like you'll get like lime or something like that. That's always fun. Just because little differences in the color, the chroma key setup that you'll use, it'll just be slightly different enough that it'll pick it up and won't quite replace it. So that's no fun. So yeah, this being a little wrinkly since I've stow it terribly and I need to go back and just kind of steam it. Or even these kind of folds, I need to straighten these out. This will cause some shading and stuff on the green screen effect itself.
And when you're using a green screen, you're going to want to make sure that, your lighting has to step up big time.
Exponentially, yes. Because if you don't evenly light that, I don't know if you've ever seen my stream where it like you get that, I call it the glitter effect. It's because I don't have a light on this side. And so this light's casting a shadow, and underneath this arm here, you'll get that stupid glittery effect, and it drives me nuts.
And when you're using this kind of equipment, you want to keep in mind what you wear, what's on you, what you're drinking. Everything gets chromed because your camera looking at your face is what's doing the green screen removal, kind of. But whatever your camera's looking at, however you're removing the color with the green screen is going to take effect. So when Shadow's drinking a Sprite on stream, you could see the game or Mountain Dew. You can see the game through it. We've got another guy in chat that has every once in a while worn green shorts, and it looks like he's floating. Oh, and the brush stands. Oh, the brush stands. That must really mess with your eyes because it fades.
Yeah, my entire army blends in with my green screen. Just so you know.
Oh, that must be really, really trippy.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. So, but That's another thing, though. You could take advantage of that for a little bit more of an engagement or a comedic effect or something, right? So wearing green shorts, when you stand up, you look like you're floating. You look like you're a body in midair.
Dude, I know a guy that actually cut a hole in his green screen, puts it over his head, wears it in games. He has like cutouts where his hands can touch his keyboard and his mouse, and he just looks like a floating head. And he has it set up on his stream deck to where his head will pop up. He'll be in like a different position every time you come back to the stream. It's hilarious.
So
That's amazing.
The chroma, the color that you use for your green, because a green screen doesn't have to be green. It's most beneficial to go with green. It's most common to go with green, but it doesn't have to be. So the chroma that you use to block it out is important. Lighting it is very important. I am not in a position to run a green screen because my lighting sucks. Other than lighting my game surface, it sucks. So
that's part of the reason why I have to have 4 lights on at all times. Is the green screen needs light on it. So my diffusers are actually pushing most of the light towards the green screen. My desk lamps are lighting more of my face and my work area, and that's to keep both the green screen and my work lit.
Yep. Now there are the way you guys have it set up. You both have the full green screen hung. If your camera is zoomed in enough, you can mount a disc, a green screen panel behind your chair. That's what I would probably do, because when I get those light rings,
expensive though.
Yeah, I found one for about $80 on Amazon.
That's cheap. That's the cheapest one I've seen.
Yeah,
probably.
So
well, you've got paint and circles, right?
I can go get construction paper.
We're creative guys here.
I mean,
yeah, you're creative. Build it.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, something that I can easily take down and put away. Like you, while we were chatting, easily set up your green screen. That's perfect.
Yeah, and the way that was done. Oh my god, I just saw Duff's clip. The way that was done is I bolted just 2 chains into my ceiling with S-hooks. So the bar and the green screen itself came with the lamps, and then the chains I just picked up at Home Depot for literally $3 for chains and bolts, and hey, just bolted it in. So when I'm done, because my wife shares our studio space, she streams, she works here. She literally does it 3 feet behind me. She uses some of the same equipment. I just unhook it, stow this in the side room here, and then she goes about her business.
Yep. So the kind of you can use all sorts of materials. You were joking about construction paper. I've seen people hang construction paper on the wall. I've seen the True Office painted the wall in a bright green, like just there. And it's great. Their interview room used to have a green screen, and then so when you're sitting there in the interview room on the couch, behind you is like a city skyline, right? So you can do cool stuff. You can blank out what's there. You can add cool backgrounds. I mean, you use like a retro looking, was it almost like an 8-bit background when you're doing your end of stream or your whip trips and all that, right?
Yeah, I just I gathered a bunch of like fighting game background screens and stuff like that, so it's animated. There's Blanca in the back. Just
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I know
something interesting.
Right, and I mean, it's so much fun to play with because you can change it from time to time. You can make it fit the season. You can make it fit the event. You can just go completely like you normally do, but like both of you guys normally do when you're gaming, just show the chair and your torso.
So which is a really good point. Part of the reason that I do this is less for having the fun backgrounds, but it's actually to maximize my screen space. I want as much of my work area on screen as possible. So literally cutting out this amount of whatever is here, I'm a third of this screen. So if I get 2/3 of that back, that's a win for me.
Yep.
Now, something I've seen, it seems like green screens and having them or not having them goes in trends on Twitch. Something I'm noticing a lot of like you look at Ninja, you look at Tim the Tatman, you look at all of those guys, none of them have green screens because they're trying to show off their setup. But then you have people like us, you have a couple other partners that do. I guess it's all in like what you want to show off or what you're trying to, or what you're using. So
I definitely
it's kind of
would agree with that.
it's kind of how you brand your channel, and it's part of your branding. So like say you have a suite setup for creative, you have a suite setup for like your PC, and you want to show off like all of that stuff, you can do that without a green screen, and it can become a part of your channel. But if you want to maximize how much screen space you're utilizing for your viewers, use a green screen.
Yeah, my number one priority is what's in front of me. So like showing off all the cool stuff around me is neat, but actively that's not what they're really there to watch. They're there to watch me paint. So
Right.
you know, keeping it clean, keeping it focused, keeping maximum screen space. Because another thing to remember too is as you're watching us on this stream here, Twitch has its own overlay. So you're a box within a box within a box to keep
Exactly.
You don't have all that much real estate to work with to begin with. So you know, cutting out little bits and pieces of it. Some people, again, like White Shadow saying, it doesn't matter. They've got other things that are higher priority to show off, and that just makes sense for them. So I think that's a personal decision. But yeah, for painting specifically, I like being able to see as much as possible on the screen as far as the project itself.
Yeah, and it's a community thing too. I feel like it fits your community style. It fits your theme of what you're doing, to use or not to use a green screen. When people are watching my stream, my wife can show up at any given time before she goes to bed. She'll come hang out, she'll come chat. If I got a green screen, she's got to come like duck behind it, and she's losing space and all that. If I mount one to the back of my chair, sometimes it makes things more difficult. So green screens are great. They have their application. But you want to really think about what you want out of your content. And if a green screen prohibits that, a green screen is not going to be the way to go. You know, Shadow uses it because the entire rest of the apartment's behind him. It's very helpful to have that blocked out.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
because you never know what's going to be back there.
Or who?
Yeah, that's a really good point. If you're living with somebody, you know, be considerate of their space too, not just yours.
Exactly.
Like, my wife goes behind my green screen pretty often as she's working, so she'll get in an order. Hi, wife. Hey, look. Oh, speak of the devil. The other way. Trying to pull it somewhere. Oh well, she's behind there. Just trust me. But that's what she'll do. So this is kind of nice for her too, because she can come in, she can do what she's doing without bothering me, and vice versa. Yeah. It's a little bit of consideration both ways. Hello, wife.
Well, that's 3 for 3 on the wife appearances. I love it.
Yep.
Which is another thing too, is she'll do that. She'll show up every now and then, say hello to somebody, wave, and kind of like what GamerDad was saying with Hypermom. You know, if somebody shows up and it's a part of your stream, some people like it.
Mine does this fun thing where she'll be sitting on the couch, because our couch is like right here. So like something will be said, and you see the green screen go, and she's sitting there looking at me with like a face like this. So it's fun.
You need to set
the
up
disapproval.
You need to set up your camera to zoom into that corner when she does it. So you just have the face. We can give the mom stare.
Wife cam.
Yes. So we've been going for about an hour. I want to be respectful of your guys' time. I know it's getting late. We do have a couple more topics to cover. We can move them to another night, or we can. I feel like we can get through some of these really quick, because we've got a good transition here. You good, Reiner?
I've got time.
Okay. So we want to talk about overlay and bot setup. I want to move that to last, because you guys gave a really, really good natural transition to talking about your format, your agenda, your scheduling. And we didn't really mention scheduling too much yet, but what you did mention, like we all talked about having our wives that get involved with the channel, what you're doing with the channel, what your content is. It's super important to identify for yourself what you're doing as a streamer before anybody else can understand who you are as a streamer. And that's something that I have really, really fought long and hard to figure out. And it's changed over the months. You know, what I've done 3 months ago to 6 months ago to when I first started a year ago. I had some general ideas, but how I felt about concepts and what I've viewed and what I've wanted to do with my stream have kind of changed. So it's important to know who you are. It's like that identity problem is a big thing.
So, that's a loaded way to start that conversation.
It is.
Yeah.
But I definitely understand where you're coming from, because that's a big thing. Like when I started, I was literally just like, I didn't even want to. So I kind of found the bug as I started to do it. But what I found was choosing what I wanted to do content-wise and sticking with it and being very upfront and honest about what I was doing and saying, "Hey, I'm literally just painting my army. This is what I'm doing. If you guys want to join me, that's awesome, and I'll do my best to learn from you guys and teach you what I know as well." And that's literally kind of the mission statement of my stream. So having that in mind, everything I do is kind of aimed at that goal. So production quality, content that I'm producing both in and outside of Twitch, all of that kind of focuses around that goal. So kind of framing it up with what I want. So when I'm saying, should I look at a new camera? Yes. Should I look at lighting? Yes. Should I do this? It all aligns with that goal.
I agree. Going back to what GamerDad said about identity on Twitch, we are streaming to one of the most saturated markets online right now. Twitch is the fastest growing. It's got the most people coming to it. Mixer, Facebook Live, all of those places don't even compare. You need to find out, and this isn't something you do right away. You figure out your identity over time. I didn't know I wanted to be mainly a shooter streamer. Like, I do a lot of shooters because I'm an ex-pro MLG Halo player. But I wanted to play I wanted to play this game over here. I wanted to play this game over here. No, I had to hone that in and find my identity. And then I figured out, hey, I really love tech. How can I introduce this into my stream aspect now? Because I've got this other aspect and it's now my identity on YouTube. How can I put that over here on Twitch? You have to find your niche. It's all about that's part of growing on Twitch. These guys, like GamerDad and Reiner, have found their niche. They found their identity on here, and it's something that evolves with you over time. You don't figure this out day one. Day one, when you hit that live button for the first time, you literally don't know what to do. You have to learn to talk to chat. That's the stuff you focus on at the beginning. Later on, you figure out, okay, this is good. I'm starting to grow. Now what? That's when you start focusing on identity.
Mm-hmm. And I know one of the things that Reiner has recently titled Spider Saturday, right? So you're working on a special project. You've got a nice, cool little name after the day. That's what this is, right? Mentor Monday. Like those cool little nicknames for different streams, like finding those themes, building on those. I started January 1st of this year wanting to be a tutorial streamer. I just came out and said, we're redoing how we're going to do things. We're just going to show everybody how we do what it is that I'm doing. I didn't know what the hell that meant. Even when I was saying it back then, it was only until the last maybe 4 or 5 weeks that I really kind of dialed that in. I mean, I knew where I wanted to go, but it takes time to work on those themes, takes time to work on that format. That's where Mentor Monday came from. I know some streamers have Metal Monday. I've even renamed the content of my stream into what's called the Nightcap, because I've started to realize a lot of people, when they come into these streams, and Reiner, you see it too, and Shadow, some of the nights when you are live at night, you see it too. People are coming in and they're like, all right, I've got to get to bed. Have a good night. So you have to learn from your community what it is you're getting from them, because at the end of the day, I want to hit the go button. I want to paint stuff on my desk, or I want to play games every once in a while to relax. I just want to hit the go button and anybody can come hang out. Reiner, you just want to paint your army and this motivates you to do it on a regular schedule. And Shadow, you just want to kill aliens in Destiny.
That's right, the League of Shadows, baby.
But at the same time, this is my huge thing. I've had multiple podcasts in the past talking about engagement, talking about growing your stream, and I still feel like I was learning so much about it back then. I don't think I was an expert. I kind of had knowledge to share, but I've kind of felt like until your community can look at you and know what they're getting from you, other than he's painting, he's shooting, he's drawing, she's drawing, fiber arts, whatever, until you know exactly what you're giving, it's hard to find that identity. And I feel like that's what the viewers will relate to once you have that identity sorted out.
I'm going to say something that I learned. This was about 1.5 years into my streaming career. Somebody said this to me. I can't remember who it was. It was from a company. And they said, your identity isn't your logo. It's not your branding. It's not the names that your community gives themselves. It's not any of that stuff. Your stream identity is you. You are the brand. The rest of that stuff is just the graphics that make everything look a lot better. So my W logo, that's not my brand. My face is. Because what do they
Pretty
see?
face.
Thank you. I try to take care of it. But what do the viewers see when they first come to your stream? They see you guys painting. Even if you don't have a face cam, they see you doing something. Or they hear your voice. Yeah, but your voice. Okay, so like what Dark Lord just said, I thought it was the voice. The voice, your voice, that's part of you. They hear you. Your face, they see you. You're the brand, not everything else. So really, when you're streaming, just be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's streamers out there that do kind of put on a show. Okay, that's cool. If you want to do that, that's your vice, whatever you want to do. But you yourself are the brand. Do what you want to do. Carry yourself in a way. Some people like to see the show. Some people like to see you as you every day. Some people like to see or just hear your voice. You have to figure that out. But you are the brand. Make that the center focus of your channel, as well as your community. Build a community around you, and then the rest will come. Reiner?
It's very deep. Just kind of soaking it in. I literally can't argue with any of that because yeah, you're number one on the stream. Nobody else. Even if you have guests on your stream like we are right now, this is GamerDad's stream right now. This is what he's doing. It goes again back to what he wanted to do, which is I want to teach things. I want to do instructive streams and things like that. So this is his brand. This is what he's doing. And this also goes back to what I was saying too about being honest. When I say being honest, I'm not talking about telling the truth or not. I'm saying be honest with yourself and your viewers, what you're doing and what you want from your stream as well. Like if you want to be a full-time streamer, say, hey, I want to be a full-time streamer, and figure out what you need to do. Like, and be honest with yourself. Is this what you want to do? Is this, what is your path, etc. So that goes a long way, and that comes across to your viewers a lot too. If you're putting on an honest face and you're being straight with them, they'll know. They'll just know. People can sniff out a liar pretty quick.
Yes, they can.
Yeah, and Twitch is a very, very easy place. When you're behind the internet, you're not really behind much of the internet. It's very easy to get lost in the competition, the emotions, the fun, anything. Twitch is very easy to get lost in, just like any other game, any other habit is easy to get lost in. So yeah, if you're not honest with yourself, it does hurt things. And I've completely lost myself in some streams in the past, and some we've all done it. We've all gone through it. It's what do I want out of that? And that is where the Mentor Monday spawned from. Really settling back down, realizing seeing what other streams had going on, wanting what other streams had going on, trying to do things to get there. I had to step back and realize, you know what, I've got to do this in a way that reflects me, not just another streamer doing another thing. So yeah, totally easy to get lost.
Well, it's like we talk about this a lot. GamerDad is a person that likes to go out and help people in a way that he knows how to. Same for me. He does the creative stuff. I'm the tech guy. I'm starting a tech podcast. That's like what I've always wanted to do since I started my channel. My channel is based around helping others, whatever means necessary, whether that be you come into my channel and I make you smile or laugh, or I'm the first person to say hello to you that day, or something of that sort. That's like what I've based myself around. GamerDad is the same way. He likes to help people in whatever he can do, and he's doing that in his own way. You can do the same thing as another streamer, but you can do it in your own way that makes it unique. That makes sense to everybody?
And Reiner, you're kind of in that same boat too. You may not title your streams as tutorials or anything like that, but you like to sit back and relax and do your own thing, and people will come in and talk to you and ask you questions. I mean, I don't know if you remember this, the reason I have the brushes I have and the reason I went down the path I did with airbrushes is because of a stream with you. I was sitting on vacation in Buffalo. I know you don't remember that part. It was like around Christmas time. I was just sitting up north on vacation, chilling, watching your stream, figuring out what the hell I need to use for brushes. And it so casual, just so relaxed. Yeah, this is what I watch out for, and this is what I get out of this brush. This is what this means with that brush. And it's just, I mean, you know, there's a reason why people come to some of these streams is because of the natural feel of that streamer.
And that goes back to what I'm selling,
Mhm.
because you're getting a lot of me. I'm not a high energy guy. I don't get any more excited than I do on stream. I surprise, people have met me like at Adepticon. This is what you get. This is about as excited as I get. So
Awesome.
that being said, when I'm streaming, that's what I
Mhm.
want. I want a chill stream because that's my time to relax. You see my painting time. The painting time that I get is the painting time that I stream. So if I'm not relaxed, if I'm not having a good time, I don't want to do it.
Right.
Awesome.
So I'm trying to sell that, or not sell that, but I'm trying to give that to the people who are tuning in as well, because I assume they'll probably have somewhat the same mindset. And if they like it, they like it. They'll stick around. That's great. If not, maybe I've got some other recommendations, etc. But on top of that, like you're saying, GamerDad, I like answering questions for two reasons. A, I get to help somebody out. Maybe somebody's just got a technical question real quick. Hey, I've got an airbrush problem, da 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 da. I'm like, oh, you got a clog, check this piece, whatever they're about their day. That's great. Sometimes they make me think about something I've been doing for years. And I'm like, oh, well, I've just been doing it this way. And they're like, well, how about this way? Crap, I just learned something. So then I get to share that back again. So it's me learning, it's me teaching, it's both.
Yep.
So I get a lot out of it. I'm very selfish with my time. If I weren't getting so much out of it, I wouldn't really want to do it as much. And it's purely that I'm practicing, I'm learning how to paint, and that's my goal.
And look, I haven't seen your streams at all, Reiner, but just by you talking about them, it seems like you have a lot of passion for that, and
Mhm.
passion goes a long way on Twitch. You have a passion for showing people how to do stuff. You have a passion for making your stream look pleasing to watch and having people to come hang out with. So that, like, people see that.
Right.
People see that.
Yeah, that's been a major goal, especially with, I know GamerDad's aware of Triptych and the work I've done putting that together, but that's literally the goal of that, is just networking, getting people here to Twitch, seeing creative, learning, sharing, etc. We've had a lot of new people stop in that said, hey, we didn't even know this existed. Who knew people made stuff on Twitch? That's kind of
Yeah.
cool. And that's pretty exciting because I know I've told the story about how my wife tricked me into getting into this, but it's for real. Like, I was not an artistic guy at all up until my 20s. I was very much a techie. I was like, yeah, I kind of like some art stuff, but whatever. I hated painting, and then I got into this, and I'm like, well, maybe I can share it.
You
That's
should
pretty
see me
cool.
try and draw something. It's awful. Like, I never thought of myself as an
Oh, I'm
artistic person
terrible
at all.
sketching.
You should
Yeah,
see
don't
me
ask
try
me
to
either.
paint something.
You're next. I got Veloc. You're next.
No.
Yes.
Dude, it's gonna look like I dip the thing, and I'm gonna dip one side in and then the other side in. There's done.
Done.
There you go.
Done. So,
Nailed
but Rainer, you made a comment earlier when you're streaming, that's the only painting time you've got. It's a very valid point. Like, some of us, when we're streaming, that's the only time we get to do this sort of thing, because timing is super important. A regular schedule is super important. Not only is it good for you and your routine, you know that, on now Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I can count on unwinding, relaxing, getting some good tunes, and getting some good painting done, so that when I go to Adepticon next year, my army looks badass when it's getting rolled over or rolling over my opponent. So knowing that I can come to your stream when that is, helps me as a viewer. But as a streamer, knowing that I'm just jumping on a Monday night and Wednesday night and whenever I go live, having my regularity, that's going to help your family. It's going to help your friends. It's going to help all of your planning, your social and real life and all that. But your viewers will know when to be there, right? Your stream themes come after that. Like, Shadow, you're most of the weekdays during the day. I can, most of the time, sometime during the weekday in the afternoon, I can catch part of your stream
Yep.
If I got time to take a break at work or something like that, or Rainer, I can relax on a Sunday, you know, in the early evening, before dinner time. I can, you're normally live, you know, so it's knowing that regular schedule also helps fit your theme and your format. Knowing what you're going to be doing also helps with your scheduling and your theme and your format. They all build on each other.
That was one of the biggest pieces of advice I got when I was starting out, and just a couple of months in, was set a schedule. Because at
Mhm.
first I would just hop on. I'd be on, I'd be awake, you know, just whenever, because I'm an insomniac. And I'd stream, and I'd literally go anywhere between 2 to 8 hours, and just whatever, I'm there. And you know, I'd get some people stopping by, and they'd be like, "Oh, this is cool. This is neat. When do you stream? When can I come back and watch
Yeah.
you again?" I'm like, well, I don't know. So as soon as I started figuring out, and somebody literally said, set a schedule so people know when to find you. I was like, right. And I set a schedule. A huge difference. It's the biggest return on investment I ever got, because it costs nothing.
Yep.
And just like GamerDad was saying, people know when to find you. You can also plan your life around it, because I don't know if you saw me grimace, but that's one of the things I've struggled with, is just balancing your social life around it too.
Right.
So if you know your schedule, then you can also balance your real life around that, and not be so surprised when, like, oh, I should be streaming today because I haven't done it in 3 weeks. Well, now I'm feeling guilty or something. And I was like, no, I've streamed. You know, I had this planned out. You know, I plan to not being able to stream, you know, et cetera. It's not such a big deal. Your viewers aren't wondering, hey, where are you, et cetera. So just be very upfront about your schedule and availability, and that just helps. Like I said, helps people know when they can find you.
And when it comes to, okay, I see a question about changing your schedule. It's a perfect time for that answer. I've changed mine. You're undergoing a change of yours right now, Rainer. Shadow, I know you're looking into potential ways to.
October.
Yep. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
looking into ways to work yours out. I used to stream Everybody's Gonna Cringe every night. 9 o'clock, I hit the go button every night.
I'm so sorry.
Do you want to know how much that wears on you, and just as a streamer, how much that wears on you? Forget
Especially
real
at night.
life. Yeah. Yeah. I'd go till like 12, 1 o'clock. 3 hours of painting. Rainer, you know how that feels on your eyes. Focusing
Yeah.
on details for 3 hours every night. There's a reason why Slow Fuse and Rainer and Flickster and any of the other big well-known names don't stream every night. Adding in real life on top of that, forget the real life part for a second, just the general go button will wear you out.
Mhm.
Now, do you want, if you know, Rainer knows how that felt for me streaming every day, just physically as a streamer. How do you think my wife felt?
Yeah. No, it makes a huge difference.
Mhm.
And it's not a personal conversation, but I've had discussions with my wife. She's
Mhm.
concerned. It's like, hey, you've been streaming, you know, however many hours. Take a break.
Sure.
Do you need to stream today? You know, and it's like, these are good things to watch out for. If somebody asks you a question, they're concerned. So, you know, take a step back and say, hey, you know, do I need to take a break? Do I need to chill out? Do I need to, you know, step away from it? Because again, personal health, literally things like eye health, hand health, eating properly, drinking properly, you're going to feel like garbage
Mhm.
if you don't take care of yourself, and you're not going to stream well. And guess what? That carries over to your stream too.
Yep.
When we were talking about personality and everything, I've had streams where I'm just in a really poor mood, or I'm not feeling well, and it's best not to stream, because your viewers don't want to see you sit there and suffer,
Yep.
you know, just not having a great time, because they're going to be saying, well, you know, this isn't a great time either. So again, it just take care of yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of adding to that, I've had days where I didn't stream because I didn't feel well.
Today.
Like, yeah, like I've had a headache, and I was just like, I'm not going to sit down at the computer and stare at a screen and not talk because I don't feel good. People are gonna Here's the thing: don't feel like you have to do it all the time. People understand you're human. People understand that stuff happens, and you're not always going to be there. Just try to stick to that consistency.
Yep.
Things are going to happen that are out of your control. Don't fret over them, but still try to stick to that schedule. Say, hey guys, I'm not feeling well today, but I will be live tomorrow, pending me feeling better at the same time that we're always live. Don't feel bad about it. Stuff happens.
And for a lot of us, this isn't a primary source of income. I say for a lot of us, it's not mine. I don't speak for White Shadow or GamerDad, but if you're not doing this as a primary source of income, remember this is not something you have to do all the time. So take care of yourself.
Exactly.
Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, I don't have any intent of making this a usable source of income. Yes, the subs and tips and bits and all that help. But I would like to think that I don't have to spend the best way for me to put this is I don't have to spend any personal money on my stream. Because if it doesn't come in through the Twitch revenue, it doesn't get spent. It's whatever I get, whatever comes in, everything goes right back into the stream. A new chair, new lighting, new green screen, new camera. If I need, unless I'm completely dead in the water, I'm not going to jump in and go buy a new lighting setup unless I've had enough time to save it up through that. So this is a self-funding hobby for me. That's a personal goal. I know there are other streamers who can live off of it, and that's fine. It's not my style. That's theirs. If you walk into Twitch the first day, hit that button and think, I'm going to make a living off of this. Stop.
Yeah,
turn it
don't
off.
do that.
Leave Twitch. Don't ever stream again if that's how you're going to start. Now, if you build it and see that you have the potential to go there, sure. Make a plan, work your way through it. Don't quit your job.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
It goes back again to taking care of yourself.
Exactly.
It sounds really silly and maybe a little bit I don't know, talking down to, but it's not. It's mostly, manage your expectations, know what you're getting into. It also goes back to like what stream upgrades are you looking at? Like, do I need this? Do I need to look at it? Am I at a level where people even care about it yet? Things like that.
Right.
The first day I started,
that goes back to don't feel like you need the stream if this isn't, if you're not doing this for a living. Just take a day off. People will understand.
Yeah, exactly. When I first started, it was like, oh, let's see where this goes. This looks fun. Let's do this as a hobby. And then as I progressed, it was like, oh, hey, this might actually become something. Let's get a little bit more serious about it. And that's like the steps that you take as a streamer on any platform. I don't care where you're at. If you're on Mixer, if you're on Twitch, if you're on Facebook Gaming or Facebook Live or whatever the heck they call it. But as a streamer from day one, if you hit that live button, like GamerDad said, and you expect a huge payout for whatever, you're doing it completely wrong. Do it because you love it and you have a passion for it. Don't do it because you see dollar signs everywhere.
Right. And I feel a loyalty to my community. I feel a connection with my community. And my community is the viewers that come into my channel as well as the streamers that I have close friendships with. I feel close with all of them, but I don't feel, no disrespect to anybody here, I don't feel an obligation to be live for you. I feel the want and desire to be live with you. What's that?
I'm hurt and disappointed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm never coming back.
Right. This is gonna get clipped and spun into so many different directions.
Posting it to YouTube right now.
Oh, jeez. Oh. No, but it's if I ever felt obligated, like if I'm like, I'm running late, Mini Gamer is still up. I've got so much stuff to do. I can't get a stream going tonight. And then if I'm like getting anxious that I'm not hitting the button, I need to take a break. I need to take a step back. I want to be live and I want to be streaming and hanging out with you all. But if I miss a night, if I need to take a vacation, because I'm going on one in a little while, I'm not going to worry that you guys are going to be insulted that I'm not live. Stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mentioned it in chat a little bit ago, but if you're streaming, obviously you're going to be involved in social media and stuff like that. Utilize that. Just let people know what's up. Send out announcements, and that goes back to the whole scheduling thing. Learning where to broadcast that you're live, you're going live, what events you've got coming up. Oh, what was that, Shadow?
Twitter.
Oh yeah,
Discord.
Massive
updates.
Please. All up. Make sure people know there's a whole news network. Any of the three of us, you'll know that we're posting things constantly as much as possible, just so you know what's going on.
Yep. Now, and I saw the question earlier about scheduling changes. We were talking about that a little bit. I underwent one several months ago. You're in the middle of one now, Rainer, or you're getting ready to switch. I think what starts effective immediately, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Friday I'll be on again.
Um, Pay attention to your community. You can read your metrics. You can look in your numbers. We're not going to go into how to read Twitch metrics tonight, but you can talk to your community. I made my scheduling change simply by making a poll on my, I guess my Discord, wherever I made it, or like a straw poll, and I had all my viewers for like 2 weeks come in, and I was like, all right, guys, let me know what 2 nights you would prefer not to watch a stream, because I know when you can't make it this way, you know, everybody said, I'm not going to be here on a Friday. Why? Probably because other streamers that they prefer to watch are live, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe it's because they have family obligations. Maybe it's because the time zones, whatever it is. People just couldn't come on a Friday. So I dropped Friday. Why? Because I'd rather stream at times I know you could be there so I can socialize, strictly to socialize. And if I'm only going to be live 3 nights a week, I want to be there the nights that I can be with my community. So
Yeah, and that's why I'm switching right now. I was trying out some different days just to try things out because I was looking at metrics over months, and keep that in mind too, that when you're looking at statistics and things like that, you want a large sample size. So, something may be great one week and terrible the next week. That's not necessarily meaning something's good or bad, but just watching things and saying, oh, hey, for example, one of the things I was looking at is I'm switching nights because I noticed most of my viewers are going to bed in the middle of my stream. Oops, I got work in the morning. So I'm missing out on a lot of people, and they're saying, hey, I got to go to sleep. I'm sorry, I can't hang out. I'm like, cool. So just listening to little things like that, going back to your community and really taking that in is super important.
right. And kind of moving into the next part, I want to talk about bots and overlays for a brief moment. But when it comes to your scheduling, another important detail is your actual stream itself, right?
Yeah.
I know one streamer. I don't know if they're still here or not, but I know one streamer who spends a good amount of time in what he calls the tavern. That's his go live face cam, sitting, socializing, letting everybody kind of get ramped up, talking about what he's going to do, any new announcements, stuff like that. Also closes out the same way. I know some streamers that stream on Wednesdays. I can count on a whip session on a Wednesday, right? Whip Wednesdays. I know at certain parts during the stream, Rainer will also go through whip sessions and all that. So it's not only knowing that I can go on a Sunday afternoon and catch Rainer, knowing that during that stream I can do this or see this or post pictures so he can go through a whip trip and stuff like that. So having some sort of a consistency in your content stream to stream, almost as important as having the consistency of when you stream, or as important, I guess I would say.
Yep. 100%
Yeah, that goes
agree.
back to, you were mentioning my Spider Saturday thing, which is literally people show up on Saturday because they know they see a big weird project. So before that, it was the giant scorpion. Now it's giant spider. Who knows what's next?
It's pretty awesome.
So with that, with what you're showing off, right? We've got the lights, we've got the cameras, we've got the green screens, we've got all these different setups. How the hell do we use it, right? Overlays. The basic concept is you don't need anything other than just to show the content. You don't need fancy graphics, fancy text, face cams. You need, for creative streamers that are doing physical creativity, like on a hobby desk or fiber arts, you need the camera to show what that content is.
Yep.
You can get away with nothing else.
I have, I think, 7 elements on my overlay altogether, and 2 of them are images, just static images. You really don't need much, especially for creative. People are worried about what you're working on, and if you're gaming, people are worried about your game. So the more screens
Exactly.
to that, that's what they're watching. That's what they're actively watching. Obviously, a face cam's important, but that's more to humanize you. So, like, for example, I'll normally have my face cam very small, kind of in the corner. A lot of people do that. Just so you can see that face, you get the body language. That's what I'm looking for. The eye contact, the movement of the mouth, all of that stuff. There's a lot of human psychology behind it. It makes people feel good just to see that, but they don't need super high detail on it. You don't need to go all in on all the bits and bobs around the stream and the content.
Right.
Now there are some things, again, it has to do with your agenda and your theme. There are some things like, we'll pick on Flick. He's got some really cool added features that kind of go with his environment. Um, and it works. It's not something everybody should do. Like he's got the little fuel cans for some of his goals. That fits his theme, that fits his style. Not everybody should be posting all of their goals all over everything, right? Just to say I need $100 for this is not necessarily a good thing. Now you could show it off on your overlays, it's fine, but fitting your theme, everything you put on your overlay, everything you are displaying to your community on your overlay, you need to have what I would find like a justifiable reason for. Why do I have my logo and other logos of companies cycling through on my stream normally? It's because I like working with them and they've been supportive and I've got an ongoing relationship with them.
Yeah.
That's why that gets to show up there. I'm not just gonna go, I'm not just gonna go and put Reiner's logo up on my stream. I'm not just gonna show it off unless there's something going on, right? The going live screen that you guys all saw at the beginning with the ad with your logo, my logo, and White Shadow's logo, all three of them up there were up for a reason because there's an upcoming event. I'm not just gonna show it off because what do you get and what do I get? We're taking up space on an overlay that's already gonna become crowded, right? Keep it simple, basic.
It's like what Dark Lord just said. You see overlays out there that are like freaking crazy. Like there's so much stuff going on at one time. What am I supposed to focus on? If I go into somebody's stream, like as a viewer, because I go into a lot of different streams and I watch them and interact with other communities and stuff. That's just a part of networking. But I go into some streams and if I see hundreds of different things happening on the screen, I leave because it's not pleasing for me to watch. There's no reason for me to watch this because I have no clue what to focus on. You really want to be, I don't want to say like super minimalistic, but keep it to a minimum of how many graphics and stuff you have on your channel. Like for me, I have an event list to show the follows and subs and all that stuff. Of course, I have my alert box in the middle because I do game streams and stuff. And then on the other side, I had this little graphic that shows like recent donation, recent sub, and so on and so forth. It's like 4 things, and that's it. Then you have me and a little scroll thing across my bit cup. That's it.
Yep.
That's like 4 things up on the screen.
Yeah, which is good for a couple of different reasons. One of them is anything animated, and I really suggest keeping anything animated very minimal and very purpose-built, draws the eye. So whenever you see something move, the human eye looks for movement, looks for change, etc. So if you have a lot of animated elements on your stream, that can distract from your main content.
Yes.
But if you have something very quick, for example, stream alerts, things that you see coming in that are animations for that are nice because, hey, somebody followed, somebody subscribed, etc.
Exactly.
You like being able to see that, but it focuses everybody on that. Hey, hooray, you've got something happen. That's cool.
It's recognition.
Right, but you don't necessarily want a whole lot of animated GIFs around because, you've seen them a million times. Who cares anymore? But it keeps distracting my eye. I keep seeing it move. Another reason, too, is the more elements that you have on your overlay, obviously the more cycles your PC has to burn to just generate the overlay and keep it going. So sometimes I've run into issues where people have asked me questions. Hey, I'm having a lot of slowdown. I'm having a lot of lag. And we just turn stuff off. And it starts working better just because they've got 10, 15 different things going on all at the same time. It's like, it's just a bit too much.
Yep.
I mean, I had I don't know if White Shadow or Reiner, you guys remember my old overlays, but it was like a bar across the bottom with just about everything I could possibly show on my it was ridiculous. But now I've minimized it. I do like to keep a couple of things up there. I've considered removing I've got the latest follower, latest sub. I do still have latest tip and bit up there because I feel like some of the people doing that like to see that kind of gratitude. I don't have an event list, but I've really minimized what I'm doing on my stream because I can get more of my video up there to show the content, and it's just so much better.
It also makes it more impactful when you do make changes. So, for example, like you're saying, if you're doing an event and you have something that pops up on your screen for the event, when it happens, people are like, "Oh, something's going on," because there's something new and different, and it's not lost amongst everything else in your overlay.
Right. The other thing I would say is some of the tools that you can get through Streamlabs. I would be careful if and when you take advantage of them. I have seen younger, newer when I say younger, I mean like streamers that have been streaming for like a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever, coming out and having big donation goals on their stream.
Oh God.
When they're like less than 10 followers and they're trying to get started. It is when you put certain things up, like money goals, when you put them up on your stream, there has to be a proper timing for it. I want to pick on Flick for a second from a positive perspective. He's got a bit donation barrel that he has on display, right? He's been streaming for quite a while, but he has established that foundation with his community, and that's a community driven goal that lets them all have some fun with something, to build something, to do something. So when that barrel fills up, he gifts a sub using the community gifting to one random person on the stream. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm not gonna, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna add like what I don't know if anybody here is familiar with Dan the Dapper. What he just did with the 24-hour stream going to TwitchCon.
Yep.
That's the same thing. Like his community wanted him to go to TwitchCon because they wanted to see him there. Mm-hmm. So he had that donation. He originally wasn't going to do it. And then his community was like, no, you're going to do this whether you like it or not. So he went and did it. He didn't just throw it up and be like, hey, I want to really go to TwitchCon. No.
And the key is to not do something where you are demanding from, right? If I mean, I'm not going to go and ask people to help pay for X, Y, and Z. I'm going to, I'm going to do something to make sure that it's built around the community. So you want to be careful on how you display those monetary goals. I don't want to pick on anybody in particular from a negative perspective, but I have seen some very good positive ways of doing that. But like Shadow said, it's very community based. Like the community wanted something out of Dan the Dapper, and they did that as a goal. I got my haircut last night because of a joke goal that came up. Yeah, not kidding. They started throwing bits at me and made me leave the room to go cut my hair.
That's fantastic.
And Flick is probably one of the best examples for a positive way to use goals to drive the community, because his community is behind it. I guarantee you some people even pushed him to keep doing something like that with the sub gifting, Reiner. How he has the fuely barrel. It's a great thing, but I guarantee you if I was a brand new streamer and I came in tomorrow and I'm like, all right guys, every $20 this is what happens, or I need to pay for this, this is what I'm gonna get nowhere. I'm gonna get no views. It's tough.
Yeah, focus on your content. That's always the answer. Community's great about being supportive just in general. So don't worry about that too much to begin with, and you'll get a feel for how your community reacts to that sort of thing. Some people like doing charitable goals, stuff like that, but just set expectations. Don't expect to go in and say I want to set this donation goal. We're going to hit it, and when you don't hit it because maybe there's not a whole lot of viewers, or just maybe it's not a good time, or whatever reasons, don't get upset. Don't get discouraged. Just be realistic about what you're looking at, and don't get ahead of yourselves too. You've got plenty of time. Right. It takes time.
Yep, and rushing it, pushing it, trying to demand too much of your community is one very good way to lose viewers. Another way, which could slightly be a comical way to lose viewers, is inappropriate bots. Setting up your bots wrong. So how many times have you gone to a new streamer? You've rated. So I love at least once a week to have my community help me find a new streamer that fits specific content. We'll go raid a new streamer. There have been a few nights where half of the channel in the raid have been banned or timed out because the Nightbot is inappropriately set up for moderation, and all caps or spamming emotes or whatever cut you off like that, right?
Yep.
So you've got your overlay that can draw in or push away your crowd. Your bot can also do the same thing. Your bot needs to be a tool to support you, to run in the background and help you with some minor things. It should not control what happens in the channel. It should be your tool to help you run your channel.
Or those bots that always like call out the lurkers like, hey, welcome to the stream. I freaking hate that. I will leave a stream in 2 seconds
Hey, GamerDad, that's a really good point. You should have a whole stream about streamer etiquette and, well, stream etiquette.
I would love to come back for a streamer etiquette one.
Because that's a huge thing, too. When you're talking about lurkers and just interacting with chat, there's a lot of do's and don'ts from both sides as a streamer or as a viewer.
That's literally a whole podcast.
It very much is.
Did I just hear an October schedule? Did I just get
down?
Did I just get us down for one in October? Maybe.
I'd love to talk about it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Heck yeah, man.
I will throw in one of the quick and easy ways though to kill your chance to grow yourself as a streamer at someone else's stream. All right, man, I'm out of here. I gotta go start my stream.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Now, if I'm in a stream, Reiner knows that I'm a streamer. I don't have to come in and say I'm a streamer. I don't have to ask for a shout out. I either get one or I don't. That's entirely on the streamer to decide or to remember, because I forget sometimes to call people out or shout them out, whatever. That is not why I'm in a channel. When I was learning, I might have shown up in some channels trying to do that, but that's not why I'm in a channel. I'm there because I want to be a viewer. If the streamer decides to break that barrier and put both together, that's different. But when I leave, I like to try, unless I have to run away because of dad duties, I like to say goodbye to the streamer. Whether or not I'm going live, whether or not I'm going to cook dinner, whether or not I'm going to do anything else, it's almost always a very similar goodbye. All right, man, I got to get out of here. Have a good night or have a good one.
Yeah.
Reiner may know, right? Because I stream after you on some nights. Like Saturday nights, I start. No, that's your late night now.
It's Sunday.
Sundays.
Well, no, Saturday
You start earlier.
Yeah, I think we stream.
We overlap a lot. Yeah.
Sunday though, you're usually streaming. I'm done though. Yeah.
Right. So if I'm leaving, like on a Sunday or on a Saturday, if I'm saying goodbye to Reiner, I'm sure in the back of his mind he might be thinking, okay, he's probably saying goodbye because he's streaming. But I'm not calling myself to that attention. I'm trying to be polite to my streamer and saying goodbye, because even though we're on the internet, I can just turn off the stream at any time and walk away. I still like to engage my streamer to say goodbye. Like I say the same thing to Shadow Airman, I gotta get out of here. I'm not going live at that time. Nobody, so just leave it alone. Never talk about when you are or are not going live in someone else's channel. And I think in October we'll get deeper into that etiquette.
Yes.
Because what the streamer can do, or what the moderators for the streamer can do, is use the bot's power to give shout outs if they decide to, right? There's almost every chat bot has the ability to do that. So
we can spend a whole podcast on bots and how to use them as well. Mix that in with streamer etiquette.
Yeah, and we could put those together. Yeah, but from a high level, we can kind of tickle the subject now, because I know we all got to wrap up soon.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Reiner, what do you have to add with some general bot use? Because I know you've seen a good share of it.
General bot use, usually the big things that I kind of avoid. I avoid spammy bots. So if you're getting a lot of messages in channel, sometimes that can drive people away. Obviously, things to have in your channel, links to social media, things like Discord, Twitter, Instagram, things like that you want to show off. Those are great, but just make sure that it's not dominating the chat. It's not flooding people out. Keep messages short, keep them concise. And keep them useful too. If people aren't using things, clean them out. Figure out why they're not using them, or what's not useful. But that's a really big part of it, because like you were saying, that's a big part of how you control chat. Timing out things like malicious links or spammy users or bots that might be malicious. That's really important. That's a good first response to it, is an automated bot, and then your mods can help you out from that point onward.
Yeah, and I think once we expand on the subject of streamer etiquette, we will broach the subject, or maybe even go into some detail of human moderators. So the close personal people that you trust in your channel, because sometimes modding your close friends just so they can have a sword and look cool is not the way to go.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. So yeah, from a less is more perspective, if you're constantly watching your bot post messages and you're not seeing a lot of other people chatting, you have too many messages. You need to dial it back. And
Stifling a yawn there. Not you.
Yeah.
no, you're good. I'm reading chat.
Not a
Speaking of bots and mods, what about auto mod?
God,
Honestly, I
Automod.
avoid it, but it's mostly because I run a mature channel, which is something to keep in mind too. If you have strong language, make sure you have your mature filter on.
Yep.
I run Automod during the day,
Mhm.
but at night I'm like off. I just take it completely off because most of the time it's gonna be me and my wife on here, and we crack some serious jokes.
I need to turn auto mod off when I'm playing Destiny 2.
Yes, you do.
Good call.
It got pretty aggressive Saturday night, didn't it?
Oh, don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. They made a mistake.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
So the key is with your bots, and we will plan. I'll work with Reiner and Shadow, and try and plan out an October session of this to go into a little bit further detail with etiquette, mods, bots, and moderators, right? Or however you want to do that. But auto mod is a good tool. You have to make sure that you kind of tweaked it to fit your content. I am moderately family friendly. You won't hear me on a painting stream get too out of line. I always avoid racial commentary. I always avoid derogatory commentary. There will sometimes be like a little bit of innuendo and some swearing, but you'll never hear me drop an F-bomb on my stream. If I have, things have gone way wrong and I will probably step away. But that's personally me. There's nothing wrong with other people doing that. There's the maturity filter for that. But your chat will respond to your language in the similar form. I find myself speaking slightly different in other people's chats versus how I would speak in mine, more casual or a little bit more tight. I know a person that's strictly family friendly during the mornings who I won't say a single swear word and avoid all dirty jokes possible to try and respect the atmosphere. So
that kind of goes back to the whole streamer etiquette thing. It's their house. It's like walking into somebody's home and going, "Hey, I'm gonna crap all over the carpet. You mind? No, all right." It's like, of course I mind. Please
go right ahead. It's fine.
Please do. Right?
Please do.
So, you know, yeah, absolutely. People do respond to that quite a bit because I've had some people who are like, "Well, your language is a little strong," and I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry, but that's kind of where we're at. Most of the other people are good with that. That's cool." But if I start talking about certain things, I'm sure a lot of people would have problems with it.
So yeah, and when it comes to just to wrap up the bots, right? We can go through in detail next time, but
yeah,
it is less is more. You should utilize your bots to do shout outs because you don't want to have to constantly type out all of the message over and over. You should have your social media, if you can fit it all into one message, have all of your social media links in some little blurb as a timed response. And if you've got events going on, like I had a custom command that my mods would run for me on this event itself, right? We had 9/17 because that was the date. It's the event, makes it really quick and easy. That's all I recommend at the bare minimum. You can add all sorts of fun, fancy stuff that we'll talk about next time. But keep it light, keep it easy. Let it support you, but don't let it control your stream. And certainly, any bot you look up, first thing you should do is go into the moderator settings and make sure you turn on and off exactly what you want on or off. If you don't want emote spam, leave that on. If you don't want all caps, leave that on. If you don't want to accidentally ban raiders because you know that they're going to spam emotes, don't turn that on. Turn it off and clean it up. Every bot should allow for that. Most mainstream bots should allow for that, right? So.
Oh yeah, I can't even think of a bot that doesn't have that sort of moderator control in it.
Even GIFbot has it, and that's mostly for video and sound clips. Even that has some minor moderator setting.
Yep.
That always goes back to, hey, if you don't know where it's at, obviously check the manual, check the documentation. Yep. They're pretty good about posting stuff online. A lot of this is open source.
Sure.
So if you can't find it, maybe somebody's posted about it.
So, White Shadow, for a starting streamer, name a very basic bot that they can set up. Just give me a name of a bot that they could use.
Nightbot.
Okay. Reiner, what about you?
Without a doubt.
You got a different one?
For a basic streamer, Deepbot's a chart has a fee, but it is very nice and very clean, pretty easy to use.
And that's a future-proof bot too. It helps you can start basic and go forward with it.
Absolutely.
Streamlabs chatbot, kind of basic. I went Nightbot to Streamlabs chatbot. That was my transition.
I use both.
Yeah, I've cut as many bots out as possible. There is a music bot again next month. But guys, the whole thing is when you're getting started, less is more. Less is more in everything that you're doing here. Start with what is reasonable for you. You're not going to go buy, a kid right out of high school getting their high school diploma is not going to go buy $1 million mansion. Unless you're like Mark Zuckerberg and you can, be rich and loaded when you're young. Sure, go buy your mansion. But 9 times out of 10, you're coming out of high school, going to college. You're going to stay in a dorm room, not a mansion. So keep it easy.
Agreed. I can't argue with any of that.
With that, hey guys, I think that's gonna do it. I asked you guys for an hour and you gave me 2, so big
That's
heroes.
a lot of content.
It's Monday night and I'm awake, so
we're only missing football, right?
Foot what now?
What? Yeah, right? Huh?
College is the only one I care about.
Yeah. I don't care about the teams that are on tonight. I can keep up with the scores later. So
yeah, I don't think hockey season started yet. So
October 4th.
Hey.
So, all right, guys, that is gonna do it. For the Mentor Monday, I've got a little bit of things I'm gonna do off stream, but I want to thank Reiner and White Shadow for coming in and being a huge help for this conversation. Couldn't have done it without you guys.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and close it up here. I'm gonna do the annoying thing that everybody hears me do on any podcast I'm ever on. Say goodnight, Reiner.
Good night, Reiner.
Say goodnight, White Shadow.
Good night, White Shadow.
And that's gonna do it for us. Good night, everybody.
Peace, guys.
Jabba